So Devin Haney just defeated Regis Prograis in very impressive fashion. And I would honestly say the best performance of Devin Haney's career. And after his performance against Regis Prograis last night, it is fully solidified, my opinion, that Devin Haney is simply too good, man. He's simply too good. And I know this sounds dumb and this doesn't sound like it makes much sense. What do you mean he's too good? There's a lot of tough fights for Devin out there. I'm not saying he's unbeatable. I'm not saying he's the Naoya Inoue of his division to where I can't see anyone really touching him. But what I am saying is that Devin Haney's ability and what he's been able to accomplish at this age and what I believe he will accomplish in the future is very, very impressive and very high caliber. This guy, Devin Haney, man, he is, 32-0, 15 wins by knockout, 31-0, 15 wins by knockout. He is very young, still getting way better, and has already accomplished so much in the sport. This guy, and I know his reign at 135 wasn't ideal, right? He beat George Kambosos to become undisputed. Many people, including myself, felt he lost to Vasyl Lomachenko. He was basically gifted the WBC. I'm not going to deny that. His reign at 135 was not super impressive in my opinion, but you guys have to realize that this 24-year-old at the time became undisputed in a weight class. You know how rare it is for a fighter to become undisputed? I know it's becoming more common again now, but there was a period of time before Terence Crawford defeated Julius Ndongo where no one was becoming undisputed. No one was becoming undisputed at one point. It was actually getting really bad. And the length and the amount of time it took for someone to become undisputed again was taking forever. So at one point it was a very rare feat, and even now it's still a pretty rare feat when you look at all the fighters, all the champions in the sport, and how many undisputed champions we currently have. Devin Haney at a young age became undisputed, and you know what he did? He took on Vasyl Lomachenko, the fight that he didn't have to make. He could have just moved up right away, but he took on Vasyl Lomachenko. I felt he lost. I believe he lost, and I do think that will always be a blemish on his resume if he doesn't make that right, if he doesn't rematch Loma. I do think that is going to stay a bit of a blemish on his career. And I feel if Haney is smart, he should rematch Loma at 140 and beat him, because I do think Devin would beat him better than he did the first time. Yes, I don't love how the Loma saga went for Devin Haney. However, he took on Vasyl Lomachenko, a high-risk, low-reward fight, because I don't think he would have gotten too much credit for that win, even if he did deserve it. He took on Loma, and you know what he did after that when he moved up to 140? He took on arguably the top guy in the weight class. I would probably say since the Zepeda fight, at one point he was number one at 140 after a Zepeda win, but since then he looked terrible in his last fight against Zarilla. But a top 2, top 3 guy in the weight class, a champion with the WBC belt in Regis Prograis. And he doesn't just go out there and beat him. He goes out there and dominates Regis Prograis. I mean, this guy completely took a very respected, at one point, fringe pound-for-pound level fighter, completely took him to school, man. 120 to 107. That was my scorecard. That was the judge's scorecards. He dropped Regis in the fight early on and took complete control of the fight. It was a complete one-sided masterclass. I mean, he couldn't have dominated Regis worse, honestly. I mean, it was such a one-sided victory for Devin Haney. He looked so sharp. It's not like he did anything tremendous. He just fought a good fight and dominated a very solid Regis Prograis. And keep in mind, I know a lot of people are not going to give Devin too much credit for this victory, but all the polls that I was looking at, about 30 to 40% of people in all of the polls, sometimes even more than 40%, were picking Regis Prograis. A lot of people are picking Regis Prograis. And yes, I do think Regis has slowed down. I don't think this is the same Regis that fought Josh Taylor. But Regis Prograis is still a very respectable fighter. He battered Jose Zepeda, dominated him. That was a complete one-sided beatdown. Yes, he had that terrible outing against Zarilla, but that was one fight since the Jose Zepeda domination. And Devin Haney went out there and completely took him to school. 120 to 107, man. I mean, it couldn't have been an easier win for Devin unless he took him out in a round or two. I mean, he really dominated Regis Prograis. And what this makes me wonder is, how does Devin Haney do against the other top guys at 140? And I'll tell you right away, I've thought about it long and hard, and I've been thinking about it for a while, but after last night, I'm picking Devin Haney to beat Teofimo Lopez at this point, guys. I really am, man. I'm picking him to beat Teofimo Lopez. I think he's a little too crafty, a little too awkward. Teofimo will make it a very tough fight for Devin. It'll be very competitive, and he's a very live dog in it. I think it's a 55-45 fight, but I got Devin Haney beating him. And when it comes to Subriel Matias, the thing with Subriel Matias is I'm just so unsure how good he is, man, because he is amazing against these undefeated up-and-comers, but we haven't seen Subriel Matias take out a proven, established fighter. We really haven't, to be honest, an established, experienced, elite fighter. All the guys that he's beaten are undefeated contenders or prospects, pretty much. I want to see Subriel Matias take on... I would like to see him take on Regis Prograis, to be honest. I would like to see him take on someone in that caliber. I'd like to see him take on a Josh Taylor. a Jose Ramirez. I need to see a little more from Subriel Matias before I can comfortably make a decision on that fight. I think it's a very tough fight to call either way. I would not be comfortable, but I do think I'd probably favor Devin to beat Matias as well, to be honest, man. He's too quick, bro. I don't think Subriel Matias will really be able to catch him for a lot of the fight. I think he's a very live dog as well. I just think I want to see a little more from Subriel before I pick him to beat Teofimo or Devin Haney, but I do believe he's a phenomenal fighter, and I believe that 140, those three guys make the weight class so fascinating, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Also, we have Rolly Romero, who would get absolutely dominated by Devin. I'd actually pick Devin to stop Rolly because I feel like he would batter him so badly the ref would have to intervene. He would outclass him so badly the ref would have to get in there and stop the fight. So, Devin Haney, tremendous talent so far, and I want to make a bold claim right now. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen this year or next year. It may not even happen the year after that. But I want to make a prediction right now that at some point of his career, Devin Haney will be pound for pound number one. At some point of his career, Devin Haney will be the number one pound for pound fighter. And here's the reason why. Out of all the young up-and-coming talents, all the guys that are around 25, 26 or lower, Devin Haney by far has the best resume. I'm not going to say by far, actually, because I think Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney's resumes are very close. I have Devin number 6 pound for pound and Teofimo number 8. But that does not change the fact that out of all the young fighters, which include Shakur Stevenson, Jaron Ennis, Vergil Ortiz has such a fall from grace, man. I don't know what happened to that guy, bro. Like, get Vergil back in there. He's fighting Frederick Lawson, a complete mismatch. After that fight, I want to see Vergil take on some top opposition, by the way. When you look at all these young guys, man, Shakur, Teofimo, even though I think Teofimo is on Devin's level, Tank, I want to mention Tank as well. When you look at all of these young up-and-coming guys who have huge superstar potential, Devin Haney definitely, in my opinion, has accomplished the most. When you look at him versus Teofimo, because Teofimo is literally the only other guy that competes with Devin resume-wise at this age. Devin was undisputed. Teofimo was arguably undisputed. I'm not going to go too into detail on who is more undisputed or not. The only thing that's really screwing Teofimo up right now is his loss to George. If he didn't lose to Kambosos, if he ended up getting that 10th round stoppage when he dropped him, got him out of there, whatever, this would be a completely different conversation, by the way. Teofimo may even still be above Devin. Because what Teofimo did, I think, is even better in a way than what Devin did, because he beat George, and then he moved up and beat Josh Taylor, while Devin beat Regis. However, when you look at their performances as well, Teofimo had a tough fight with Josh Taylor. Devin completely dominated Regis, but I'm not going to get into that. When you look at resume, both fighters have done very similar work, and both fighters are on the pound-for-pound list. I can't deny that Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, both pound-for-pound level fighters. But the reason I think Devin Haney will eventually rise to number one is, first of all, and this is something that Devin's not getting enough credit for, he is very wise with who he takes on. And what I mean by that is he's very strategic. He takes on the best opponents he can that he would certainly win, if that makes sense. He's not taking on the best fighters that he could possibly lose to, if that makes sense. I know it's hard to describe, but he fought George Kambosos for undisputed. I mean, that played out so perfectly for Devin, man. If he rushed it, he could have taken on Teofimo Lopez and had a much tougher fight. He moved up to 140 and he took on Regis Prograis instead of taking on Subriel Matias or Teofimo, which I'm not saying is a duck, I'm just saying it's strategic. He knows what he's doing. He's being managed very well, and I feel with how well he's being managed, as well as how talented and how incredible of a fighter Devin is, because I do think he's a very great fighter, it's inevitable, man, that he's eventually going to be pound for pound number one. You guys realize this guy is, 26 years old, 25 years old? And he's finally hydrated as well. I mean, I've been saying that Devin was weight drained at 135 since he fought Gamboa. I could tell in the Gamboa fight he looked weight drained. He didn't look great. So I knew when he moved up to 140 he would look phenomenal. I knew he would look sharp. I was asking for him to move up in weight for a very long time, and it was a really, really good outing from Devin, man. He looked really sharp. We've never seen Devin look this good, in my opinion, and I believe he's going to take on Liam Paro next. And Liam Paro is a nice little fighter. It's a nice little win for Devin. It's not going to really propel him anywhere in the pound-for-pound list, but it's going to maintain his spot as an elite fighter. But I really believe at one point Devin is going to be pound-for-pound number one. And I'm not saying he's the most talented fighter in the sport. I believe there's probably some guys out there that are around his age that might be better than him. Might. But Devin Haney is one of the few young talents that is taking on elite opposition. I mean, look at his resume, guys. He took on George Kambosos after Kambosos was arguably a pound-for-pound level fighter, beating Teofimo Lopez. He beat him twice. Second fight, he battered him, which I knew would happen. He took on Vasyl Lomachenko. No matter how you felt about that fight, I felt he lost. But he took on Loma, which is a really good opponent. And in hindsight, it's obvious that Loma's better and than he's been given credit for, right? And then he took on Regis, bro. He took on Regis, who's a top 3 guy in his weight class for his first fight at 140. I assume he's going to take on Liam Paro next, and hopefully after that, a Teofimo Lopez showdown could be made. Maybe a Gervonta Tank Davis, maybe a Ryan Garcia fight. There's so many fights on the table for Devin, and I believe he probably wins all of them. So the future's looking very bright for Devin Haney. Tell me down in the comment section below, what do you think about Devin Haney's career so far? Do you believe he's as good as I'm crediting? Do you have him on your pound for pound list? If so, where? Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, guys. He definitely should be on your pound for pound list by now, by the way. Have a good one, guys. God bless. I'll see you guys later. Peace.